Welcome to another episode of Dinner at Lola. We have a really fun show. I personally know everybody at this show, and I'm friends and fans of theirs in general. Starting with my man Phil Flores. Normally people clap, but I guess Phil just intimidates people.
That happens. When people say my name out loud, people clap. It's good. Thank you very much.
Lena Waithe, multi-talented.
I'll clap for myself.
Not to be confused with that other guy, Stephen Caple Jr.
That's funny.
My man 50 Grand, Josh Waller. And I am your host, Jay Lee. I feel like everybody here has just done their own thing. And I know you write and direct all of your stuff, right?
Like all your friends, you know, just like you start telling stories to each other, like let's make this a film. Got our 16-year-old buddies to start, you know, acting in our films. And that's where I started out, yeah, doing ourselves with literally like a bunch of people who don't know how to make movies. I think you have to start that way. I don't know how you start with like $1 million, you know, or $20 million project. Like,
right.
What the do you do?
Right, yeah, what do you from there?
Make Fantastic Four. I don't know if you guys are involved, but that's what happened. Yeah. All right.
Well, you don't know how to make movies until you know how to make movies. I think it's a problem that I think a lot of artists have, but I think especially in the industry that we're in, I think a lot of actors suffer from this because it's hard for actors. You know, it's to just like, you know, musicians can just like, if they're inspired, they can write a song. They can pick up a guitar, they can sing a song, they can do. Actors can't do that. They can't just be like, you know what, I feel like acting right now, I'm gonna do a monologue. You just can't do that.
Right, you can't just spontaneously express your art.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting, like, say you want to be a filmmaker if you actually never made films before. Like, you can't just watch a movie and be like, oh, I want to direct a film until you actually get in that seat. And so you kind of go out there with your cell phone or whatever it may be. Well, our generation cell phone. I don't know what your generation is.
Right, yeah. 35 mil.
It's like, well, if you have a phone, you can kind of go out, you can do it. But I do believe there's a craft to it. Because a lot of people are doing that, and there's a lot of stuff out there. Filmmakers of color, I'm always like, what can we do to make sure we're putting out the best work that we possibly can? And the truth is, I think a lot of stuff just feels that I see or I'm exposed to, and people show it to me after the fact, it feels rushed. They want me to just to say, oh, this looks really good. Right. And the thing is, like, when you're giving notes and feedback, they're showing you something that's sort of a finished product, but they're showing it to you like, why don't you do a table read, or why don't you send me the script first before you even shot a single frame? Like,
I agree with you, and I think it's important to realize that like the commodity in all of these cases are people. It's their eye, it's their artistry that they bring to it. I am very harsh on myself in terms of like the work that I do and my peers. Like I demand a lot of myself and of my friends, and that's one of the keys is surrounding yourself with people that you truly trust and that you should trust, and they can go, hey, you know, it's not really as good as you think it is.
Exactly.
And you're like, what?
Because I feel like we all sort of have our camps of people that we either work with, rely on, table read, notes, punch-ups, whatever. So I want to talk about that when we go to dinner. So grab your drinks and we're gonna go, we're gonna go eat and keep talking. I know, Josh, you have your own company and with Daniel and Elijah, you've been working with them for a long time. How did that even come about?
We did realize that we had a shared love of genre films, specifically horror, and we felt that at the time, which was 2010, that we weren't seeing a lot of quality, I don't want to say quality genre films, the type of genre films that we wanted to see get made. And so we just wanted to create, you know, a company where the three of us were gonna, you know, reach out to our, you know, do something revolutionary and reach out to our friends and say like, hey, you know those projects that like everyone passes on because it doesn't have enough of this or it doesn't have enough of that, but do you have anything that is just like your baby that no one seems to want to touch, but you just get it in your soul? Everyone has a project like that. And by doing that, you're taking on another filmmaker's passion project and making it your own passion project.
But I feel like those sort of projects work because the intention is right versus the sort of plug by number. What name do you have? That, you know, what genre is it?
You can only do those kind of films at like a certain budget level. Unless you happen to get some like dreamy producer financier and has taste that is just impeccable, you know, as a creative producer.
I don't think everything needs to be a theatrical release.
No.
That's my new thing. I think because even with Dear White People, even though we had a theatrical release, there was also a world in which we would have been happy with if it was, you know, an HBO or a Netflix, you know, thing where it was an event. As long as it's an event, as long as people are talking about it, you don't need necessarily to be on big screens.
But don't you feel like there's sort of an allure to the big screen?
Of course. The trouble is the business isn't built that way anymore, and people aren't going to the movies like that anymore. For the big tempos, like I think those belong in the theater. Make it 3D, make it a big event. But I feel like something like Room, which is like one of the best movies I saw in like a long time, you know, it's like I watched that at home on a screener. And I think that was the way it should be watched, rather than trying to convince a bunch of people to go see a movie about a girl who's kidnapped and has a baby and they're stuck in the house and the death escape. Like, it's just movies like that, it's hard to get people to go see them.
I do think that there is absolutely a world to look ahead and look at what your film is and go, this film is probably better watched alone at home.
Interesting.
I think that's what divides some of what we're talking about, like the material you have to pay attention to versus the material you don't.
Right.
You know, like, whatever, CSI, season 10, acronym, you know, it's like, whatever, I'm doing this and that, you know, that's what we do. My wife does it all the time.
Right.
You know, she's great. She's great.
Shout out to Lindsay. What's happening, Lindsay?
And that's the hard part, is just trying to get the buzz out, finding that niche, trying to work social media in any way that you can if you're a low budget project.
Right.
It's just trying to find those corners.
It's easier to do something on Netflix or on TV just because it's sort of, you can find it. But the thing is, I think that's really the biggest issue with Dear White People. They were like, who's the audience for this? How do we sell this? Because they feel like that smart, sort of like indie, you know, black kid doesn't exist.
What was the
like,
answer for that though?
Luckily for us, we had a buzz online that, you know, but they all said, well, we don't want to take the risk. You'll probably get into Sundance, and when you do, we'll bid on it. And that's what happened. They're like, go get into Sundance.
Because really what they're saying is we don't know what black people like.
No, I think they're wondering if there's a smart black audience, which is a fair question for them to ask.
But people don't question if white people like old school, if there's like smart white people.
Right.
It's just stupid.
Black folks don't, if you ask them if they're going to the movies, they don't ask what is the movie about, they ask who's in it. So that is a big issue that we as black filmmakers have to face because we're always trying to break new talent. And the truth is our tried and true talent is sort of aging. You know, it's like you got Denzel, Halle Berry, Will Smith, sort of only so many things they'll do.
I feel like there are people, let's say black people know, who studios don't know. The studio will tell you what name has cachet versus the audience telling you what names we want. With The Land, though, you have a lot of, you have, Erykah Badu does a cameo, Nas is on the soundtrack, and he, came on and really put his name on that. But for the most part, you broke a lot of new people.
You know, the younger cast members are all fresh. Only person that probably had some serious work is Moises Arias, and he was in Ender's Game and Kings of Summer and stuff like that. So we had some, and he was Rico and Hannah Montana. He's gonna hate me for saying that.
Shout out to Hannah Montana.
Shout out to Hannah Montana. For Nas, it was like out of passion. Like he didn't have to do it. Like it wasn't a money thing. It was like, oh, I did what you're trying to do, and you like hustling and this, that, and the other. And so we just connected, and he was like, I'll take care of music. And with Erykah, she just read the script and the same thing. She's like, some people don't really send me a lot of scripts. Like theater was her first thing, and theater was a passion of hers and acting. And so I took advantage of that. You know what I mean? I was like, I would love for you to be in the film. And so with IFC, which was kind of cool, shout out to IFC, is that they allowed to keep it a coming of age drama about these kids in these tough situations. And the selling aspect of it was the fact that we had Nas. You know what I mean? The fact that we had a really good soundtrack. We had Erykah Badu in the film, and it's not the skateboard movie and it's not the thriller film. It's straight about these boys enjoying summer, but there's an underlying threat. You know what I mean? So it feels really art house, and they're pushing at that. Like, it's compelling, it's this. Those are the words that pop up. It's not like the darkest thing, blah, 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 or, these boys in the hood, trying to survive. That could have been easy, the route, but they, just stepped back and was like, let's just focus on what the film is. But like when you have someone, like I had a conversation with Nas back when I was trying to get the funding for the film, and we talked about life for like 4 hours. So we talked briefly about the script. It didn't seem like he was going to fund it, and I wasn't sure if he was going to be a part of the project. It was like, whatever. But when we're on set, and I'm like, yo, we're actually shooting it. He's like, oh, you kept going, and it was that thing that you don't stop. And so I think it was out of appreciation that he came through. It's not like we were paying him.
I have a question for you. Is it easier to market horror films? Because I know you guys sort of have your finger on the pulse with genre horror pieces. Is it easier to market those? Do you feel like?
I think it's like porn, you know, for narrative, I guess. So there's a big market for it. I think, you know, I don't know how you broke, but I broke through horror. We had Lionsgate pick up a film it was shot for $35K, nothing, you know, but it made a ton of money for them. So suddenly we were like the darlings of the industry for that quarter.
Right.
You know, but I think that if you can sell something out of Sundance, whatever it's, you know, whatever it is, anything, you know, it's like it gets you noticed, and you got to go with that momentum.
I don't give a what's marketed, to be completely frank. Like, that's not the reason why I got into this business. Content is king. I think that the cream rises to the top. It doesn't matter like what platform you're going to watch it on, whether it's like a big screen in a theater or if it's in your home or your phone or however. If you have a strong script with strong performances and strong music and editorial, and it's all come together in this magical concoction to create something that just works.
Yeah.
I don't know like what's easier. Like I'll let you know what's easy to market when like I have a Paranormal Activity or when I have a Saw film or something like that. We just look for good stories. We're not necessarily, when people say like, well, what do you guys look for? We say, we don't know. Like, we just know it when we read it.
Yeah.
We know it when we see it. We never know.
Yeah.
But when we tell all of our readers, say no on everything, pass on everything, until you absolutely can't say no. And the only way that that's gonna happen is if the script is so good that you're just like, pfft,
it's undeniable.
my God, and it doesn't, and that is something that transcends genre.
The truth is, no, not everyone's a filmmaker / producer that finances with a production company. And so it's like, but what you're in a room trying to pitch something that's not a specific genre, and you're dealing with black people, it's like, wait, it's not Meet the Blacks, it's not this, it's not that.
So we're talking about where you start, and I agree 100% what you're saying. Content's king. Story is king, man. We're all living stories. We're living story right now. So we start there, but we have to sell it to somebody.
But you got to get it through.
You got to get through.
That's the thing. It's almost like it goes through one filter, through another filter, and by the time it's gone through, this person's white gaze, that person's white gaze, that person's white, you know, straight gaze. You know, it's like you're trying to explain a thing. Like, it's like, because that exec, you know, is sitting there and can read the thing. I think this was really great. I don't understand this experience. Because the person that I got to sell it to has walked a different path than I have. So they're like filmmakers, content creators. Unfortunately, we sometimes have a character in there that looks like you, so that we can get your folks to come in and watch it. Because otherwise, they're like, I don't relate to this at all. Right. Even though I can watch The Room, there's no black person to be found in that film. There doesn't need to be.
We're gonna go out and have dessert. It'll be our last sort of segment. We'll kind of finish up this conversation. Take a show or a film that, let's say, has a predominantly black cast that is popcorn or commercial, that you might not like, but it does well. Does that help or hurt you guys as filmmakers and your taste where you are right now?
I have a better question. Do you call Coming to America a black film?
I call Coming to America one of the best movies ever.
I'm just saying. I
think people refer to it as a black movie. I think also
does
too
it
in
matter
terms
who
of
the
like
filmmaker is? That it's John Landis, who's a white filmmaker who makes it.
Well, that is a question because there's a thing of like but that's the interesting thing. Is like,
he wasn't striving to make a black film.
Eddie Murphy's career wasn't a black career.
Somebody may say Empire is a black show. Eileen Shaken is the showrunner of that show. Danny Strong is the co-creator. So those are two. Yes, Lee Daniels is in that mix somewhere, but at the end of the day, that's looked at as a black show. We don't have a black Mad Men. We don't have a black Nurse Jackie. We don't have a black Game of Thrones. Like there is like because.
Do you think Birth of a Nation is good for us? Like black filmmakers? Do you think it's like?
Birth of a Nation is a strong film. I've seen it. It's a really great film. I think it's a strong film for black filmmakers, but I think it's just a strong film for filmmakers. He was just like, I'm not going to not make this film.
And look, and I know Nate, and Nate's, you know, if anybody knows him, knows that the movie's gonna get made no matter what, if it took 7-8 years, however long it took him. But I think that's also so telling, is the way he had to make that movie.
Totally. It's not
That just
it's
goes
not
to tell you.
genre. It doesn't have like some like hook. It doesn't have any like, oh well and then there's this twist at the end. It's like it's just a strong.
You think there is a hook?
Well, no.
Slave movies is a genre? That's it. Oh, it sure is.
Yeah, but
slavery's still big.
Yeah, but
business.
I just mean
Don't
that
get it
it's a
twisted.
strong dramatic piece that is character driven, and
But
strong dramatic pieces that are character driven alone in this day and age are always going to be hard to get made,
Right.
regardless of race. They're going to be harder if you're black, but they're going to be hard, period.
Look, I make most of the I made on my own dime, right? So I make what I want, and I don't really have to, answer to anybody because I pay for it, and I write it and I produce it or whatever. So I like what I like. But
Is that good, not having to answer to anybody?
yeah,
Does that make stronger content?
Does that give you the career you want?
yeah. So far, I mean, for me, again, if I want to make a show about something or I want to make a movie about something, I can go do that. Now I have people that I trust, that I have my camp of people, who are very talented and smart, who whenever I have any sort of read or a punch up or brainstorming session, there's a handful of people who I always bring in. So for me, look, I'm hosting the show with you guys, so
Ultimately, it just depends on, how you walk through the world. I deal with execs who are white. I don't even think they realize the worlds that we live in are so different that, especially when you bring art into it, say, hey, this is my story, this is the thing I'm trying to tell. They see it through their eyes and they have to give notes on it from their perspective. And then now the story is sort of changed. And by the time it reaches the audience, there's something that's sort of like, ugh, what's up? And it's like because there's a little bit of the white gaze.
The straight gaze, the white gaze.
The straight white gaze who don't see color and don't think about things as African, which is fine and fair, but I do, and that's a part of the story.
see, you're better than me because I get tired up top and I just don't even know how to explain it anymore.
And I know how you feel, but all in all, like to answer your question about like, are we making progress? We are. I think the reason this should happen, this conversation should happen, for those who do have this mindset need to keep creating. You know what I mean? To know that there are other people out there who are still have that same mindset of creating great content, putting out there no matter what the race, no matter whatever genre, you know what I mean? It's just about making something great. You know what I mean? I think it will keep evolving once we start helping out each other. So you say, oh, we're here. We live in a house together. It's more than just living in a house together and talking and complaining or whatever. It's about producing quality. Producing product. And that's what you guys are doing here and now.
And it's also about those relationships so that when you're done, it's about, okay, now where do we take it? Because that becomes I think what the exhausting part is that.
If we were all salesmen, we would run the world. We're not, we're artists, that's the problem.
I think you bring up a good point. The idea of like, do you have like, look, I've been at dinners where I talk to the foreign sales guy who straight up tells me black people don't sell overseas, right? Now I can believe that and then what, not make a movie, right? Like, oh, you're right, I'm going home. This is a bleak ass industry. Or I say, okay, well, I just won't sell my to you and I'll still go make my content. But I feel like if I look at the end result, I'm already ahead of the ball. Like I have to make something for me, and this is just me speaking, not host as an artist. Once I do this, all the other falls into place. Once I start doing this, how am I gonna sell it? Who am I gonna sell it to? What big name can I get? Then now I'm not in my light. My light is, okay, let me create something from here, let me put it here. And then whenever I focus on that, that's when my stuff moves.
It depends on which hat you're wearing, though, Jay. Because if you're wearing a producer hat, you can't think like that. You can't think just like that.
I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me.
Right. Scratch the writing and directing. If you're just the producer, you have to have the long game in mind before you even go into it.
Well, I have a question. What feels more fulfilling as a creator writer? Finishing the product, whether it's the script or the table read or the watching your first cut, or IFC is going to distribute your film. Like what gave you more fulfillment?
Being at Sundance and having people see it, being at Dallas International Film Festival and having people see it, that was like my side. That's the thing that gets me ticking. You know what I mean? Like when I was at Sundance, the weird experience was it was all about the sell. It was all about the headline. It was like, when is that headline going to drop? And I was like, man, people are about to watch my movie tomorrow. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm like stoked about that. I'm like, it's about to go down. Like, is it good? Is it not? Blah, blah, blah. All this stuff is about to start buzzing. But people are like, but did it sell though? I was like, nah, but did you see how many compliments we got out the thing? And people who really wouldn't watch this movie came up to me and was like, I wasn't gonna see a movie. I thought it was gonna be some whack movie about some hip hop. These are literally people with some hip hop movie with
Sundance
but
is
it was
no
like,
black movie.
yeah, and it was like, but it was real and it was honest and it was genuine. I was like, oh, that's like, that was a gratifying experience. That was the best. And while everyone else was, and the producers and financiers' job is to focus on the sale, and so, but it felt like that was the environment. Like that was like the elephant in the room beyond like how people actually felt.
So you said people receiving it.
Yeah, people receiving the product and receiving what you created was the benefit. You know what I mean? But again, I didn't put up the million dollars
Sure.
the movie, so for them the benefit is that
Where the money at, yeah.
But as a personal, as an artist,
Me getting the part on Master of None, cool, awesome, nice, cool. Talk to Aziz, all good. It coming on, and people and critics raving about it, and it doing well, and it trending, that's putting numbers on the board. Dear white people, we did the concept trailer, we did the table read, all that cool. Getting at Sundance, selling to Lionsgate and roadside attractions, and then all the other things that are coming from that film, it's about putting numbers on the board. That to me is like, if you can put those numbers on the board, then people can look at that and go, okay, now we'll give you another opportunity.
And by the way, all the shows and films we talked about, congratulations. I mean that, because it's hard to get anything made. This is real talk.
Yeah.
I have gifts for you guys. But these goodie bags are not for you. It's cool. It's an organization called the Peg Effect. They're one of our friends, and these goodie bags have a month's worth of supply of toilet paper, toothbrush, wipes, sanitizing for men and women. You can get these at pegeffect.org. You can buy them, you can put them in your car. And their motto is to empower through the cycle of giving. See somebody looking like Josh, you can be like, oh man.
I'll have you know.
I like that shirt.
I like that shirt too.